that because...
Okay, so this is well, it says it right there. Former NBC chief marketer says Trump portrayal was faked for The Apprentice. And he's been on media talking about how he's atoning for helping to create the fiction that Trader Trump is a businessman. So he
was a great businessman. That is a false narrative. We did it for the show, but it became very dangerous now for the country.
So there are Americans now who will say, I don't need to look to The Apprentice. I can look to the 4 years while he was in office. And I thought he did a good job while he was in office. What do you say to them?
Shut the fuck up, Katie Tur. This is what I'm talking about. This fiction that there's, Trump was some great for the economy. He wasn't.
And
she's the one that when Nancy Pelosi was on her show and she mentioned that Trump has the worst jobs record since Herbert Hoover, she jumps in, well, that was because of the pandemic. And it's not because of the pandemic. His economy was slowing down because of the tax scam. And it was pre-pandemic, but the pandemic made it worse.
About maybe the foundational idea they have of Donald Trump in their mind.
Well, there were some sophisticated things that went on in the economy. First of all, as Obama basically said, he left Trump with a very good economy. And along the way, he didn't really do very much, and so he sort of got out of the way of it. And so what I would say is that he was lucky along the way until he hit a stumbling block, which was the pandemic, in which case he very much mishandled along that way. Now, he did give a tax cut to a lot of different people, but not many people in a certain economic spectrum took great advantage of that. And so what I would say to them is maybe he helped you a little bit, but what I would say is the last 4 years have actually also been very strong, with the stock market hitting new highs and inflation now low, unemployment also low.
Yeah.
And so I think that he did a very good job of selling himself, which is what he always did.
Economists will argue that presidents don't really have that much sway over the economy because the economy moves so slowly and decisions.
Now, you see that? Now we're going to hear economists will say that presidents don't have that much sway over the economy, but why is she always bashing Joe Biden for whatever? Whenever good news comes out, then we have to hear, well, people feel that things were better under Trump. She really is insufferable, Terry. Terry Taylor on the chat says she really is. But this is what I'm talking about. This is what we're up against. We have to deal with the likes of Brett Baer on one side, this outright propaganda outlet, and then we have to deal with this subtle undertones of propaganda. That's why, are people stupid? They're malinformed. They're misinformed. They don't actually get the truth. Even when they do the polls incessantly, up in the polls, down in the polls, we get the polls constantly. They don't take into account these pollsters that appear every election cycle and then disappear. They should take that into account. I mean, if that was a real news outlet or whatever, if they were doing actual news, wouldn't they take that into account? They want to show us a poll. I mean, a poll is not news anyway. You're just polling misinformed people.
You make during your presidency doesn't really come to fruition. You don't see the results of it until many years down the line.
Glass-Steagall. Thank you, JD. He's not even from America. Glass-Steagall, yes, exactly. Then that's not law anymore because they did away with that. What could go wrong? Because what happens? It doesn't happen overnight. The consequences of Republican policies it's not a light switch. So by the time there's another financial crisis, they'll be out of office, or they would have already made their ill-gotten gains. So who's I'm going to feel the sting of the lash. I don't know. Well, time will tell. But it will happen again if nothing is done about it. So, you're talking about regulations. What, like seat belts or just regulations usually regulations are put into effect because somebody got sick, somebody got hurt, somebody died. But they all act like regulations are the worst thing that can happen because they can't seem to make a buck unless they can not care if somebody gets sick or hurt or dead. Just like regulation, like labor laws, working in decent conditions. They were all fought for, because of people who died. People died fighting for the 8-hour workday or just decent working conditions, like in the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. 8-hour workday, not having to not being locked in. Ugh, God, they act like everything came about. When we were talking about with Tom Hartman the other day, that these Republicans, they act like this middle class or labor laws or the policies and regulations that protect workers were implemented because billionaires were feeling generous one day. All you got to do is listen to Elon man-child Musk for a minute, and you know that they don't give a shit about anybody else but themselves. Oh, that's another thing. I actually heard on one of the channels somebody calling Elon Musk, he could have been the Thomas Edison of our day, but now he's not an innovator. He's not a genius. Can we get this straight once and for all? He's not Thomas Edison. He's a con man like Trader Trump. He's a rich grifter. He got money from his daddy and he bought into companies. And then he used his money to get people's names off of the founding documents. That's why he can call himself a founder of Tesla. Tesla was created by actual innovators and engineers. Then he came along. Then Elon Muskrat, man-child Muskrat, came along. He's not an innovator. Even his fucking Starlink and Star whatever, X this and X that. All we have to see is what he's done to Twitter to know he's not an innovator. He's not a genius. No genius behaves like that. No genius retweets Nazi propaganda and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. I'm so sick of hearing that. In fact, it was Eric Swalwell who said that. He could have been someone remembered as this generation's Thomas Edison. People really need to stop buying the bullshit. This is the problem with the timeline we're living in. It's the age. It's not just the new Gilded Age. It's the age of the grifter. This is how the future is going to remember this time as the age of the grifter, no doubt. Trader Trump is a grifter. Elon Musk is a grifter. All you got to do is come up with some scam. He's a good marketer. That's it. He marketed himself as a genius. Let's go to Mars? Occupy Mars? Oh, wow. Great idea. But he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He hires people who are smarter than him. That's what he does. And then he steals their ideas. Then he might as well, he's like that fucking asshole everybody hates in a company who steals your ideas. That's what he does. That's like Trader Trump. But because he's such a lowbrow, low energy just not smart. Ignoramus, he can only steal ideas like a multi-level marketing vitamin scam. Oh, I hate these people. Legally and peacefully.
Fine. So would you be arguing that the Donald Trump that you saw during COVID was more the Donald Trump as the executive he was before he was elected?
He's not an executive.
He rarely was, in my knowledge of him and working with him and talking to him, because I knew him for a number of years in this particular period of time, is that he was very good at selling himself. He was very good at telling what he did without actually doing it. And to a large degree, he followed along what maybe he learned what we did in the show.
And that's what he does now. He says, it's going to be great. What are you going to do for small businesses? Don't worry. It's going to be, small businesses are going to be great. Everybody's going to have rainbows coming out of their ass and a unicorn in every garage. I swear, you better buy a house, buy 3. It's going to be the best. We're going to have the cleanest air, the cleanest water. I want clean air. I want clean water. Environment. I'm really good at the environment. The way we mix the sand with the water. It's the best, like nobody's ever seen. Don't worry about it. You'll see. It's going to be great. Great question. I love how when he rambles about nothing and answers no question. This is, what is, I can't put my finger on it. I'm just trying to process it. But what is wrong with this society? What's the meaning of life, really? No, the fact that it's like a mass hysteria in the whole society. Not us, because we know what the parasite traitor Trump is. But when I watch like the town hall or some idiot stand up and ask this fucking grifter and ask him a legitimate question. What are your plans for childcare? Childcare is childcare. You gotta have it. We're gonna, and then I say this, we're doomed. The whole society is doomed, because what the fuck is this about? Wake up. We don't have to do this. We don't have to go along with the hysteria. We don't have to play along with the grift. We don't have to. This is a choice. And you're asking somebody who doesn't know shit from fucking Shinola. He doesn't know communism from fascism, from Marxism. He doesn't know where to put an apostrophe on YOU''RE. He doesn't know you from YOU from YOU, two from TWO to TO. This is what we're dealing with. A sociopath running for office to escape the consequences for his life of crime. But we don't have to play along. It's sickening. And that's the whole fucking society is sick. The whole society is sick. That's why it makes me sick, because this guy, all he wants is to walk into a room and have them play Hail to the Chief. And the fact that they do it, that's the problem. Even when, I passed the Trump Tower in New York, you got to see what it looks like. It's like a bunker. There's all kinds of cement barriers and guys out there with assault weapons protecting this worthless piece of shit. Protecting a con man. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry for saying it, but he's a con man. He's a grifter. He's a threat to this country because he's poison. He's unfit. He's already tried to overthrow the government once. He's doing it again. He's in the process of doing it again. And we got to spend all this money to protect this grifter. And there's men, you know, and women out there. They every time they go to work, they got to put on their protective gear and get their weapons out and stand guard so that nobody hurts the con man. With the fake university, the fake vitamin scam, the history of sexual assault, the 34 felonies, the classified documents in the shitter, the Putin puppet. Yeah, the guy who gets on the phone. He's not the president. And he has private conversations with Putin. And then he goes on and says, well, it's not a bad thing that I get along with Putin. Well, guess what, bitch? You're not the president. You don't get to make foreign policy. There's laws against that. Laws against civilians. He's a traitor. He's a fucking traitor to this country. And everybody knows it, who's not a moron. Who's not a goddamn sicko fan. Who's not Stephen Miller. Who's not Steve Bannon. Just today I saw Steve Bannon's daughter. What's wrong with these people? Why don't they rebel against their disgusting traitor parents? But anyway, she's like, free Steve Bannon, because he's in jail until the end of the month. Why's the Biden Harris Kamala? I mean, they can't even say her name, these fucking morons. I hate them. This is somebody that we have to spend all this money protecting, this grifter. This effing grifter. That's what's wrong with this society. Because we need to wake up and say, this is a person who's unfit.